Typical Barry Winslow VC fashion, I take up the entire length of the storage on my video on my phone talking about music. Anyways, if you didn't catch my first video, this is Barry Winslow logging on with a massive record haul here of some recent vinyl finds, filling everybody here in the VC in about where I've been at, what I've been doing. VC cheer, got my coffee here today. A nice Wednesday? Yes, a nice Wednesday. I've got class this evening, but I figured I'd hop on real quick before I head to class and show some guys some records. If you want to know what's going on in my life, I'll attach a link in the bottom of this video to my first video that I did. This is a two-parter. Got a lot of records that I've been showing, and if you didn't check that one out, check out some cool stuff that I found. But let's get right into it. I don't want to waste any time. This is the second part here of an extended recent vinyl find video. So I'm going to get right back into it. Once again, if you missed this this first video, this is I'm currently in a stack of records right now where I picked them up at a record convention here in Bay City this past weekend with my uncle, and we dug for about 3.5 hours. And I came across 18 albums, put a pretty big size hole in the side of a $100 bill. But considering how many albums were there and the size of the convention, that's not too bad. So let's get right into it. Really happy to have this next album in my collection. I came across this one at the convention and I had to pick it up. Huge hole in the collection and really happy to fill it. Yes, the Beatles White Album. This is not a first pressing. This isn't a first issue. It doesn't have the numerical print, catalog numbered print of the actual album underneath the Beatles title. I believe this is a second issue White Album. But man, 1968 Beatles, the White Album, iconic album, really fun album, a very sporadic double album by the Beatles. A lot of people say that there's some weird filler material. I don't know. I think that when it comes to the Beatles, this is a highlight, guys. This is very, very high-end Beatles material, and God, I'm so happy I've got this in my collection. Really, all I've got to fill in for them is, I think, their latest work, Let It Be. I think that's where I'm at with them. But anyways, God, happy to have this. Beatles White Album, 1968. I believe this is a second pressing of their album. It's in great condition. Picked it up for like just shy of $10. And a nice sleeve here. Happy to have it in the collection. Beatles White Album. Another one I picked up that I was really happy to find at the record sale and at this record convention, and you guys are going to be like, really? You just found it? Jimi Hendrix, Axis Bold as Love. Finally got it. Finally got around to it. I've got some holes to fill in regards to vinyl for Jimi Hendrix, Band of Gypsys, The Experience. I don't have all of his stuff on vinyl. I've listened to all of his stuff on CD and MP3s and cassettes ever since I was like 9 years old. I love Hendrix. I listened to so much Hendrix that I think I kind of wore him out. And I think for that reason, he's never really been on like, oh, I must pick him up immediately kind of thing on my list. I mean, it's Jimi Hendrix Experience. It's Axis Bold as Love. It's a 5-star album all day, every day. It's a wonderful piece of music. But like I said, I think a lot of times when you find an original issue of Jimi Hendrix, he's really expensive. And honest to God, I mean, the guy's incredible. I love The Experience. Their musical statement, they're a must-have. I think he's overpriced. I honestly think it shouldn't have to cost you $35 or $25 to pick up a first issue of Jimi Hendrix. I think that's asinine, honestly. I mean, come on. We all want a little bit of Hendrix. Let's make it easier on ourselves here and price these guys accordingly. I mean, I get that, he's well sought after because his music's incredible. Gotta hand it to the guy, but come on, guys, seriously. So I got this one for $6, and the reason is the original owner of this wrote his name, Eric, all over this album. So I'm kind of bummed on the jacket. But the good thing is that I recently took out the album and I gave it a deep wet clean, dried it off, the whole 9 yards, vacuum cleaned it and everything, and it sounds amazing. But, gee, thanks Eric for ruining my jacket of my copy of Axis Bold as Love. Either way, happy to have it in the collection. I'll keep it in a nice sleeve. You know, if I come across a jacket one day and it's in better shape, cool, I'll pick it up. But like I said, I'm in no huge rush to fill out the Jimi Hendrix collection because it'll happen. I'm not going to worry myself over it. But I guess in regards to Hendrix himself, I'll say that this is my favorite Hendrix album. I think Axis Bold as Love is, in my opinion, a lot of people will look at his other two of the first three works and say that those were his best albums. I'm going to stand on the other side of the fence on this one and say that Axis Bold as Love is, I'm not sure if it's his best album, but I mean, it's hard to say that there's an album that's better than this. But this is my favorite. It's my favorite Hendrix album, always has been. I love the album artwork. But thanks, Eric, for drawing your name, whoever you are, all over the sleeve. But I got a good, clean copy, vinyl, of this, and happy to have it in the collection. All right, moving on to Humble Pie. Steve Marriott. I showed some Humble Pie in the first video. I've really been getting into Humble Pie. I'm not gonna lie. Humble Pie. I'm not gonna lie. Didn't plan on that. I really like these guys. I think Steve Marriott's incredible. Their work with Peter Frampton on guitar earlier in their career is great work. I think this is their first album featuring Clem Clemson. I could be wrong, but I think it is. And this is the album Smokin'. 1972 Humble Pie. This is a highly acclaimed Humble Pie album, and I see why. This is a kick-ass album. Awesome rock and roll music here. Clem Clemson, Steve Marriott, obviously Greg Ridley on bass and Jerry Shirley on the drums and the keys. There they are. There's the boys. That's the Pie themselves. There is a track on this album called 30 Days in the Hole. And if you haven't just turned up and blasted 30 Days in the Hole by Humble Pie on the Smokin' album, you're in for a treat. That is one of the coolest rock riffs I think I've ever heard. Humble Pie, Smokin', 1972. Bitchin' album, worth having in the collection. Happy to have some really iconic Humble Pie in the collection. Humble Pie, Smokin'. Sticking right with the Humble Pie Performance, Rockin' the Fillmore, their live album. I love this gatefold. I think the images inside of this gatefold are just awesome. Some great shots of the band, especially that one right there in the middle where they're just jamming out in concert. Love that. And I love how they took some images of their performance at the Fillmore and used it for the labels. I think that's really cool. It's on the A&M Brown label on this side, and then you flip it over, and it's actual concert footage. I think that was really neat. You don't see that too often. Highly acclaimed live album, and definitely worth picking up. Humble Pie is like, they're bluesy, they're rocky. They've got, every now and then they'll do some southern stuff. They're great. I think they get overlooked in the pantheon of rock and roll. I really think that this album, or this band, didn't get enough love. Humble Pie's excellent. Steve Marriott's vocals. He started with the Small Faces, and moved on to kind of branch into Humble Pie. And even his work with the Small Faces is incredible. But Humble Pie, Rockin' the Fillmore, their live album, iconic Humble Pie record. Super happy to have it in the collection, and if you come across it, pick it up. It's worth having. Up next, we've got a little Creedence Clearwater Revival. This is Willie and the Poor Boys. They for a span of about 2 or 3 years, put out about 5 or 6 albums right in the beginning of their career, and every single one of them was just like 5 stars, 5 stars, 5 stars, 5 stars. This band, at their creative apex early in their career, really couldn't miss a beat, and I think that this is one of these albums. I mean, you can grab early Creedence Clearwater Revival, and you really can't mess up. That's how good these guys were. Creedence has never been my favorite band. They've never been like the first thing that I pick up and spin in the morning or at night. They've never been like, ooh, my go-to favorite sound in the world. With that being said, I can't turn away and not look at their significance and their importance and their creativity, because these guys really were incredible musicians. Their sound wasn't my favorite in the world, but I think albums like this just go to show how awesome this band really was. I mean, you've got Down in the Corner, Fortunate Son, Side of the Road, Poor Boy Shuffle, Cotton Fields, It Came Out of the Sky. Seriously, song after song, this is just an incredible piece of work. Willie and the Poor Boys, Creedence Clearwater Revival, and I'm really happy to have this in the collection. I'm going to put on another album while we're at it, because I got to have some music in the background. Who doesn't? Okay, continuing right on. Once again, CCR. Here's Green River. Iconic. Well, what can you say? Just once again, happy to have it in the collection. Green River. You know, you got Commotion. Wrote a song for Everyone. Cross Tie Walker. Sinister Purpose. Nighttime Is the Right Time. Track after track, Creedence. I mean, frickin' CCR, right? So, super stoked, once again, to have some of these titles from CCR in my collection, because no collection can really be complete without these albums, so happy to have it. Another album here I'm super happy to find is Mountain Climbing, Felix Pappalardi. God, just really happy to have this. I've got some stuff from Mountain. I believe this is Climbing. I believe I had an album there called, is it Landslide? I forget. But I do have Nantucket Sleigh Ride as well, and I know that this is the album with Mississippi Queen, which was a huge hit for them. Really happy to have this in the collection. I was looking quite a little while for Mountain's Climbing, Climbing, and finally came across it. And critics say that this is the one to have. Awesome hard rock album. It's frickin' Mountain, man. Just blow the doors off your awesome music. And you can just tell by the album cover it's Mountain. I mean, they all kind of had this similar look and feel to it. Creative apex of their career, Mountain, Felix Pappalardi, and just beautiful stuff. Corky Lang on drums, Leslie West and Felix Pappalardi, Steve Knight on organ. The Boys, Mountain, awesome stuff. Happy to have it in the collection. Another one that was a huge hole in my collection, Derek and the Dominos, Layla, and other assorted love songs. Didn't have it on vinyl for the longest time. Finally came across a really nice clean copy for $6. It's in great shape. The vinyl's in really good shape. Finally, I freaking got Derek and the Dominos, Layla. I'm a huge Eric Clapton fan. Grew up on Eric Clapton's music, and I've got so much stuff from his solo career. Pretty much all of this stuff from Cream and the Yardbirds. I mean, who did this guy not play with? I mean, he went and did some country stuff. He went and did some folk stuff. He went and did some, I mean, really blues is where he lived. But Eric Clapton could play anything. The guy could honestly play any genre and make it sound beautiful. And I think that when it came to his just the apex of his sound coming out of a Marshall amp and just wrenching out some awesome distorted blues, this is it. His work here with Duane Allman, I think that the song Layla and the solo on Layla with the partnering between Duane Allman, Dwayne Skydog Allman, and Eric Clapton is one of the greatest solos of all time. And god damn, I'm so happy to finally have this. I was hunting this down for the longest time, and I'd come across a nice copy, but it would be way overpriced. And this guy there was a vendor at this sale that had really reasonable prices for his albums, finally. And picked it up. It's in a great, nice sleeve, in great shape, and happy to have this one in the collection for sure. Cleaned it off, it sounds excellent. So Layla and Other Assorted Love Songs, Derek and the Dominos. I'm telling you, I did really well at this record sale. I'm just stoked with the stuff that I was able to pick up. I was all done with the stack of records that I had, and I went and I was like, well, there was one more table, and I was like, well, what the heck? I had been digging for 3 hours, my feet hurt, and I was like, I'm done. I might as well just look through a couple more. I was talking to my uncle, and he was wrapping up talking to a buddy of his, and I was like, well, while he's over there chatting, I'll just look through a couple of these boxes and just kind of call it a day. I'm flipping through like Perry Como and all this stuff, and then all of a sudden my fingers flip across this. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? Bob Dylan, his very first self-titled debut, just Bob Dylan itself. This is the stereo copy. I don't think this is a first pressing. It's in pretty good shape. There's a little pop and hiss on it. I cleaned it off, but it sounds awesome, and it's playable, and I don't mind the subtle pop and hiss. I think that actually gives the record a little bit of personality. But, I mean, obviously these were all covers. This is Bob Dylan early on. It's just him and a harmonica and guitar, just from the heart, doing his folk. And I didn't have this on vinyl in the collection, and I know it's probably not a first issue, because if it was, it would be a lot more expensive. But it's a nice, clean copy of Bob Dylan's first album. Didn't have it, do now. Super pumped to have it. I don't think it's Dylan's best work, but I think it's where you got to start. It's Bob Dylan starting to do his thing, coming from Hibbing, Minnesota, and going into Greenwich Village. I'm actually reading his book right now, and the guy's just an American troubadour. And so happy to have his beginning roots on vinyl in my collection. Really happy to have it. Bob Dylan solo's debut. Or self-titled debut, I mean. And then right after it, I couldn't believe it, but yes, in mono, couldn't believe it, super clean copy, the Freewheelin' Bob Dylan. It's in the collection. I own it. Considered by many to be one of the greatest albums of all time. You can go on and on and on. I mean, even the image itself is completely iconic, and frickin' finally got it. I think the only thing that I've got to get from Bob Dylan now is Highway 61. That's the only one left that I've got to hunt down. So happy to be pretty much all the way filled out on my Bob Dylan collection. And when I came across this for a pretty good price, I got both of these records for $9 a piece. So considering what you're looking at, considering the quality, they're not perfect, but they're really clean, they're really nice albums. And whether they're first pressings or not, I actually have to go through and find out if they are. I'm not 100% positive. I don't think they are. But even, I mean, just again, to have something like this on vinyl in my collection, I'm super stoked. And yeah, the Freewheelin' Bob Dylan, got it. Continuing on in the stack, going back, doing a little bit more Allman Brothers. Eat a Peach, the very last album that Duane Allman was on before he died. You know, this is so cool. This is such a great album, and I love not only the outside cover, I think that's really cool, but this is like the trippiest, most psychedelic inner sleeve in the world, or inner gatefold image. I love that. Absolutely love this image. And you know, the iconic mushroom logo. The Allman Brothers doing their thing. Ain't Wasting Time No More, Melissa, Mountain Jam, One Way Out, Trouble No More, Blue Sky, Little Martha. Just one after the other. I mean, this is where it's at, guys. Allman Brothers, Southern rock. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're a Leonard Skinner fan, if you're a Humble Pie fan, if you're a Little Feat fan. This is in my opinion, this is one of the first and most important jam bands. Period. When it comes to jam bands today, I can guarantee it. They all look back on the albums that I'm showing you today, and they're going, "Man, I'm influenced by that." And these guys are just great. Allman Brothers, Eat a Peach. Really happy to have it in my collection. Really good, clean copy. Got it for like $5-6, and happy to have this one. So. ZZ Top, Tejas. I've got quite a few ZZ Top albums. Eliminator and Deguelo and Tres Hombres. I got a lot of their more important titles. This was one that I was missing. Came across it for a couple bucks. It's really clean. Spun it, and sounds great. And happy to have it in the collection. Really nice early to mid career ZZ Top album, Tejas. It's one of their better works. It's worth having. Really cool, great Southern boogie blues. Just the boys with the beards doing their thing. Billy Gibbons and crew sound great here. Great album. Happy to have it. Tejas, ZZ Top. Another one that I was really excited to find. Finally, I've got a nice clean copy of King Crimson, Lark's Tongue and Aspic. Robert Fripp and crew. I think this is one of the best albums that King Crimson ever put out. I honestly will say that this is probably my favorite King Crimson album. Starless and Bible Black and Red are really cool albums of this era of the band, but I think this one trumps it. I think Lark's Tongue and Aspic was really an impressive creative statement when it came to dark progressive rock music. 1973, this was a little bit different formation when it came to the band members. And you've got David Cross, Robert Fripp, John Wetton, Bill Bruford still, who came from Yes. And shortly after, I believe it was Close to the Edge, I think it was after that album that he left Yes and came to join King Crimson. And Jamie Muir on percussion here. This lineup, this album especially, I love the album artwork. Lark's Tongue and Aspic Part 1, Book of Saturday, Exiles, Easy Money. This album is a beautiful piece of progressive rock. It's a really dark, kind of trancy, heavy progressive rock sound. I love these guys, and I love this album. I've been looking for this for the longest time, and I'm really happy to have it in the collection. If you don't have it, try and find it. It's a tough one to find, but if you do, seriously pick it up. It's worth paying a couple extra bucks to have a clean copy of this in the collection, in my opinion. And I think it's my favorite. It's my favorite King Crimson album, and about time. About time I got it. Lark's Tongue and Aspic, King Crimson, 1973, in the collection. And finally, the one that's playing on the turntable now, behind you. This was the album that I was most excited, the one that I was, honest to God, looking for when I went to this convention, and they had it, and I'm so excited. This is Humble Pie. Technically, this is an American release called Lost and Found. What this is Humble Pie's first and second album in one collection together, so it's a gatefold double album. It includes their first debut album, As Safe as Yesterday is, and then it also includes my favorite Humble Pie album, Town and Country, which is pictured here. That's the British release, as well as this. So those are the actual images of the two albums included on this set. I think this is a really corny, stupid looking piece. This album is just ugly. But I think that, God, I would love to find that issue, that copy of their second album. Listen, I gotta tell you guys, this is an album that flies under the radar. People haven't caught on to this yet, I'm sure of it. And it's a shame because this is a beautiful acoustic set with Steve Marriott and Peter Frampton doing some acoustic guitar work before he got huge and left Humble Pie and did Frampton Comes Alive. This is a really cool early era Humble Pie album, and some of the stuff on this is just soulful, bluesy. It's good stuff, and it flies under the radar. Listen, I gotta tell you, Humble Pie, Town and Country, pick it up. Pick it up and listen to it. It is a beautiful album. As Safe as Yesterday is plugged in, electric, a lot more like boogie bluesy kind of sounding. They've got hints of, oh shoot, what's their name? Future Blues, Canned Heat, there it is. I know it's back in there somewhere. They've got hints of Canned Heat, but then they've got hints of, like Mountain. They're a little bit heavier. They're great. As Safe as Yesterday is an awesome debut, but I'm just really stoked to have their second album. This is called Lost and Found, but Town and Country. Double album here. Super pumped to have this in the collection. If you come across early Humble Pie, pick it up. It's great stuff. So there we go. Those are some things that I picked up. Wow, 2 half-hour videos here. Sorry to keep you guys so long, but I really wanted to show some albums of things that I've been picking up here in the last few months. Hello, Barry Winslow. God, it's good to be back. VC, you know, it's not that I take long absences on purpose. It's really, if I've offended anybody by being gone for so long and not being as consistent as I was, you know, I apologize. But sometimes life gets in the way, and literally I've been so busy with things that it's difficult to find time to do the videos. I'm still hop on. I watch you guys. I'm seeing all these great videos of vinyl on my feed. And even if I don't leave a comment, it doesn't mean that I'm not watching. I think it's a lot of work and there's a lot of time involved. It's a time commitment to be a part of the vinyl community. It really is. And it's not saying that I don't want to make that time commitment happen. It's literally that I can't find it a lot of the times. So when I do find time like I did today, I got a little bit of downtime, I got my studies done. I wanted to hop on and say hi and just say, God, you know, thanks for everyone who watches my channel, who cares about what I have to say and drops great comments and fills me in with things that maybe I didn't know about before. I love informing people about music. It's a passion of mine. I think all of us love doing that here on the VC. I just wanted to show you guys what I've been digging, say hi, give you guys a nice coffee cheers. You know, spin a little Humble Pie and some Little Feat and just kind of hang out with the VC for a little while. I'll attach the link to the first video in this two-part collection here at the bottom of this video, so you can check out my first one. And yeah, guys, thanks for logging on and saying hi. Peace. Keep the record spinning and take care of yourselves. And hopefully I'll be back soon for another vinyl update. Okay. Thanks, guys, for watching. Take care and have a good one. Bye-bye now.